silent since morning on empty stomachs, waiting for the verdict. Right now, the update that we have is that the state is changing the charges to subversion of constitutional powers. Simply put, it means that they now want to charge Pastor Ivan with treason.
So I think November 18, when the military and ZANU-PF fell, broke ranks, if you want, with Robert Mugabe, they took advantage of a public sentiment that they know they've suppressed for the longest of time. So the victory was not really a ZANU-PF victory for me. It wasn't, a military victory per se. We are glad that they finally saw the light and they finally started to speak with the people. But I looked at it as, a moment where our state apparatus, a moment where, ZANU-PF came and joined the people in the fight against the regime as represented by Robert Mugabe. So, yeah, that's the 18 November for me really was a people's victory.
Zimbabwe, home to approximately 13 million people. A lot of its population is now in the diaspora, having moved out because of economic and political reasons. Zimbabweans are now spread across the globe, spanning countries like the United Kingdom, the United States of America, South Africa, just to name a few. Most Zimbabweans only really know one president, President Robert Gabriel Mugabe. Mugabe was elected as a leader in the 1980s and has been president for nearly 40 years. His presidency has been criticized by press, political opposition, internal members of the government, and the international community. During his leadership, he has been accused of causing economic hardship and severely violating human rights. Following the much contested elections of 2008, that saw the country grind to an economic halt with record-breaking global inflation. The next few years saw a rise in protests and activists against Mugabe's presidency. Meanwhile, new voices started emerging on the internet and social media, speaking against Mugabe's regime. Itai Dzamara's Occupy Unity Square was the movement that started a tidal wave of activists speaking against Mugabe online. Tajamuka is one of the leading social media movements online. They successfully called for a stay away in 2016 and organized a number of protests. This is Promise Mukwananzi, the leader of Tajamuka.
But I would say that from my standpoint, it is one of those necessary evils that the army had to do. And as I said earlier on, I'm happy with the manner that they have done it. No blood shed, no intimidation, no usurpation of power using extra constitutional means. I think that they've said that Mugabe remains the president as elected, and they are persuading him to step aside and to allow this country another opportunity beyond him.
AC Lumumba, a young political figure in the social media space, became openly outspoken about Mugabe's leadership. Here we ask AC what he feels about President Mugabe.
I feel very sorry for the president, very sorry, because I remember being a 19-year-old and first time really interacting with ZANU-PF politics from a distance. It was almost like I'm a young girl and there's a guy I see in the classroom and I think this guy is so hot. And people asking, why do you think this guy is so cool? I'm like, oh, look at the way he dresses, look at the way he speaks. Just look at the way he commands a crowd. Typical to why girls like guys. And I remember being a 19-year-old kid, having no idea that I would ever meet this man and saying, wow, I think that is so cool. Listening to his promise and the way he articulated it, and I thought, this is exactly what Africa needs. And then the closer I got to the proximity of power now, I now go to a point where I was having meetings with this man one-on-one. I was flying and traveling with this man, and I started realizing, ooh, something is really wrong with this relationship. It was one thing before Tanyengana, but Tanyengana ta udanana, plus vaibaiza.
Legally, Mugabe had very few options available to him.
I think in terms of the Constitution, the president can either be removed and this is when we now talk about the impeachment process, or he can resign, or if he unfortunately passes away, then, you know, either that then kicks in as well. So his options really were to resign or to be subject to the impeachment process. And what the impeachment process would have done is we would have people coming forward to say, Mr. President, you have failed to either uphold the Constitution, or due to your health or old age, you are unable to continue executing your duties in the right manner. You have failed to put into force the policies that you are supposed to be safeguarding. And with these allegations should have come facts of the charge, should have come an investigation, and it would have been an inquest. The president would have been given an opportunity to answer to these charges, and an entire inquest would have then been held. Then the result afterwards would have been, you know, an unceremonious stripping of power. So I think that the resignation in the circumstances was the best option to take, and I really wish it had come sooner. So I would really like to applaud, you know, the former president for taking this route, because at least he has managed to leave his legacy intact, and he has walked away without necessarily causing or calling any sort of interrogation into how he did manage his tenure as president. So in his resignation, it obviously means now that we are without a president. And this should then be rectified within 48 hours, which I believe has been done.
On the streets, the atmosphere was quite electric. People were very opinionated and didn't hesitate to give their views on the former leader.
Dara ataza urana nyika ino ngasirova mo warane nyika anditi kana vakona futo wabvisawo andika
baba ngawasisiya chigaro baba Mugabe ngawasiye chigaro vaende kumba vonogara kana kuri kogara kusvika Mwari avatora ari kumba kwavo touyawo tobate maoko kuchemawo kuti uri gamba wakambonyaradza kuti pendakasirwa nemabhune kwasimita aya wakaramba wakandichengetedza ndiri mupenyu chizorora papinde vari kukwanisa kumbomhanya kwete zvaakuitika nemumba mwako chaimo Mugabe dai ukasvinura unozviona kuti munaomira musha.
Zimbabweans have found a newfound liberty and are looking forward to a great and wonderful new Zimbabwe.